All right, everyone, welcome to the very first episode of the Ordered Omnibus. I'm your host, Anthony, and yeah, this is happening. I'm a 54-year-old guy, and I've been reading comics my entire life. Started way back in, the mid-late 70s, actually, which we'll get back to that in a second. I've had my favorites, and I've got to say I've always been more fond of mutants than metas, you know? There's just something about the X stuff that's always grabbed me a little more. But here's the thing. Over the last couple of years, I got to be honest, I felt my love of comics, it was just kind of slipping, you know? Life gets busy, the industry changes, whatever it was. The spark just wasn't quite as bright, and I hated that feeling. So I decided I needed to do something about it. My plan? A full-on chronological read-through of Marvel Comics that I have access to. The big question then was, where in the world do you even start something like that? I mean, I love the stories in those really old comics. They're foundational. But man, the art is just, well, it's from a different era. Let's just say that. So I figured, let's start somewhere that feels right to me, maybe around mid to late 70s when I first jumped in. Or, honestly, maybe a bit later than that when the art style is a little more consistently to my taste. And I've always loved the big multi-issue story arc stuff, right? So, like the Kree Skull War, the Dark Phoenix Saga, which, let's be honest, is the GOAT. Days of Future Past, Secret Wars, those huge events that shook things up. But even then, that doesn't narrow it down that much because there's literally thousands of Marvel issues released just in the time period that I'm considering. So I thought, okay, let's get the biggest bang for our buck. Let's choose one of those massive multi-comic crossovers the Marvel loves doing, maybe even to a fault these days, right? They can definitely run those things into the ground. So, after some thinking and honestly using a formula that I worked out to decide the jumping on point that felt impactful, I chose the lead up to House of M. That felt like a really pivotal moment, but to really get the House of M, you need a bit of run up. You need to see the pieces being set, and that's why I landed on our starting point of November of 2003. It felt perfect, far enough back that you were really, really aware that Wanda Maximoff is, shall we say, bent, but close enough to the events that we actually get to watch the Avengers start to come apart at the seams right before everything explodes. So here's the plan for the show. Starting with the very first episode, we're going to read all the Marvel comics that I have access to for whatever cover date we're covering for that episode. And in this case, November of 2003, and I'm going to give a brief synopsis of each of the issues in the order they came out. One of the best things about comics for me was waiting for the issues to come out. Comics would come out on a Wednesday, and you'd have to go in to see if the issues that you wanted had come out. Now, with that, if I put out all the comics in one video, I would end up with video running roughly an hour and a half. And we all know the internet hates long-form content. So I've decided to put out a shorter episode once a week on Wednesdays. It won't be an exact thing, as issues that were listed as for November of 2003 came out from August of 2003 to late December of 2003. It's honestly a project that's mostly for me, a way to reconnect with something that I've loved for a very long time. But I really hope you decide to jump on board and enjoy the ride through Marvel history with me. Come on, true believers, and let's unleash some awesome. Runaways, Volume 1, Issue 5. All right, my comic book deep divers, let's break down the final chapter of the Pride and Joy origin story. Now, if you're just jumping in, don't sweat it. We're going to rewind a bit and get you all caught up to speed. So, picture this. We're in sunny Malibu. We're in the Wilders throw an annual bash. It's not just any get-together. It's a summit for the 5 families. The Wilders, the Yorks, the Deans, the Steins, the Hayeses, and the Minoru. And their respective teenage offsprings. Alex, Gertrude, Carolina, Chase, Molly, and Nico. The grown-ups ditch the kids to the game room, heading off to the library for some adult time. Naturally, teenage boredom kicks in, and Alex, ever the investigator, suggests a little parental peeping. Cut to a secret two-way mirror situation. The kids get a front row seat to a seriously messed up scene. Their parents, collectively known as the Pride, are straight up involved in a murder, and on top of that, Mr. Wilder's the one who delivers the final blow to the poor woman. Heavy stuff, right? Well, back in the library, the Pride are getting a little twitchy about what they heard behind the mirror. Jeffrey Wilder sends the deans to check out the catacombs and his wife to check on the kids. Panic starts to set in. Have their little darlings just stumbled onto the dark secret? Leslie Dean throws a cryptic line about protecting them until they're 18, and according to Tina Minoru, something about the abstract. Intrigue intensifies. Meanwhile, Carolina Wilder finds the kids looking suspiciously innocent playing Twister. Post-game, the truth bomb drops. They talk about what they saw, and Alex initially is all for direct confrontation, but their powwow is cut short as Alex and Nico get a weird request to lug a trunk to the York's car, immediately raising red flags. Could this be where they stashed the body? Alex suggests a clandestine team meeting later that night. Under the cover of darkness, the non-Molly crew gathers at the Griffith Observatory. Alex logically suggests calling the cops. Gertrude's on board, but Chase and Carolina, well, they're in denial. They want to brush it off. But Nico, however, sides with Alex. Gotta call the authorities. Alex makes the call, but the officer on the other end is less than convinced. So, plan B, they need solid evidence. The body, which they suspect is at the York's residence. Sneaking into the York's place, the kids play detective and find a keypad hidden behind a painting. Nico, showing off some serious brain power, figures out the password involves a 3, 4, and a 7. Alex throws in pride as a hunch. Boom. Secret room unlocked. Inside? Old Lace, a massive velociraptor-esque lizard. Chase, in a moment of panic, attacks, but Old Lace chills instantly at Gertrude's command. A hologram reveals that the Yorks left Old Lace to protect Gertrude. Turns out she's a genetically engineered dinosaur from the 31st century. Time travel shenanigans already? You know it. Next stop, Carolina Dean's seemingly empty house. They stumble upon Carolina's medical bracelet, realizing it's more than just a fashion accessory. And when she takes it off, bam! Carolina lights up like a Christmas tree, literally a being of pure light. Alien alert! The issue closes with Lieutenant Flores calling Jeffrey Wilder about Alex's murder report. Uh-oh. Jeffrey, now clued in, realizes Alex is MIA. Cut to the Dean's residence where Caroline is experimenting with her newfound glow stick abilities. The group decides it's time to let Molly in the loop about her parents' extracurricular activities. But Chase, ever the pragmatist, convinces her to check his place first, and as they leave, Gertrude gets a weird feeling. Old Lace is tailing them. At the Stein residence, they find a full-blown mad scientist workshop, weapons, experiments, the whole shebang. Before they can say Frankenstein, they're confronted by the Steins and the Minorises. Chase, in a moment of hold my beer, puts on some robotic gloves, the Fistigons, and X-ray goggles, but his dad quickly shuts him down. Alec thinks fast, removes Carolina's bracelet, unleashing her full radiant power. Chaos ensues. Nico suddenly absorbs her mother's staff of 1. Old Lace provides a dino-sized distraction for the Steins, while Nico uses her staff to zap her father, freeing Carolina, who then blasts him with energy. Family bonding at its finest. With the Steins and the Minorises temporarily neutralized, the gang heads to the Hayes' residence to get Molly. Just then, Gertrude's phone rings. Cliffhanger alert, the Hayes and the Yorks are on the other end threatening Molly's life unless the teens surrender. Talk about a pressure cooker. The Steins and the Yorks are now babysitting a seemingly out-of-it Molly, waiting for the other runaways to show. Molly starts to stir and says she isn't feeling well. Her mother is in peak denial and blames it on hormones and tries to lull her back into her trance. Cut to the teens road tripping and strategizing. And with a burst of accidental arson, they decide a full assault on the Hayes' residence is the only way they can save Molly. At the Hayes place, Leslie Dean makes an appearance. Alex, surprisingly tactical, leads the rescue mission via walkie-talkies. He and Nico share a just-in-case kiss. Aww, young love in the face of parental supervillainy. Well, as they approach the house, Old Lace goes Jurassic Park on Dr. Hayes. Alex, Nico, and Gertrude are intercepted by the Yorks. Nico, in a moment of desperation, attacks and gets cut. Her blood triggers the staff of the One to emerge, and she swiftly takes down the Yorks before heading off to Molly's rooms. Outside, Carolina uses her bracelet on her mother and knocks her out cold. While inside, Nico confronts Miss Hayes, but Molly wakes up and her mom has a sudden realization. Molly's a mutant. Nico knocks out Miss Hayes, but Molly, now awake, confused, and glowy-eyed, melt down angry at Nico when Gertrude and Old Lace join the awkward reunion. Molly freaks out over Old Lace, whereas Gertrude's mind blown over mutant Molly. Alex arrives as Gertrude tries to catch Molly up to the crazy last few hours. Suddenly, Miss Dean blows in the wall of Molly's room and attacks, subduing Gertrude. But Molly, in a fit of rage, yeets Miss Dean into the pool. The kids decide to bounce, but before Nico and Alex can fish out a soggy Miss Dean, she attacks Nico again, but Alex brains her with the staff. As the Runaways head off to hide, Alex tries to decode the stolen book with Miss Dean's ring. Only a partial translation is available. Jeffrey Wilder calls, dropping a news bomb. They're wanted for Destiny Gonzalez's murder and Molly's kidnapping. Alex hangs up, and Chase suggests going dark. Back at the Hayes place, the Pride is an unsigned note pledging loyalty. Suspense? The kids reach Chase's hideout, Bronson Canyon, or aka The Hostel. They discuss new names, and everyone picks ones except Alex, who's set on redeeming his own. And that, my friends, is the explosive conclusion to the Pride and Joy origin story. Betrayals, dinosaurs, glowing teens, and mutant mayhem. A classic coming-of-age tale, wouldn't you say? Ultimate Spider-Man 45. So picture this, a complete waste of an issue with Aunt May in therapy. Yep, you heard it right, the homegirl is stressed. All that crazy stuff that's been happening lately has taken its toll. She's talking through the other night when she totally lost it on Peter for disappearing all day. I mean, classic Peter, right? Always sneaking off to some mysterious adventure. And get this, he actually tricked her into thinking he was just reading. Smooth, Parker. Real smooth. But that's not even half of it. Aunt May drops a bombshell on her therapist. She's kind of obsessed with Spider-Man. I mean, can you blame her? Everywhere she turns, Spidey's involved. Ben's death, Captain Stacy's death, the whole mess with Midtown High. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Spider-Man. She even had to face-to-face with the guy during the daily web-slinging routine, and now she's convinced he's going to hurt Peter. Talk about worst-case scenarios. And here's where it gets even weirder. Aunt May is keeping Gwen Stacy around to cope with Captain Stacy's death. The therapist, trying to keep things chill, tells Aunt May taking Gwen in is a good thing and that she should spend more time with Peter. Maybe that'll help her chill out. Later that day, Aunt May gets home and offers to take Peter to the movies. And guess what? Peter's stoked. He's just as eager to spend time with Aunt May as she is. I mean, family bonding time. So there you have it. Aunt May stressed, obsessed, and maybe a bit lonely. Will she ever figure out Peter's secret? Will she find some peace of mind? And what's up with Gwen Stacy? Well, stay tuned. I hope we don't have any more of these issues because why? But anyway, stay tuned, true believers, because the story is just getting started. Fantastic Four, Volume 3, Issue 74. So, things are rough back at the Baxter Building. The upper floors are still messed up and the FF is nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, sans Doom, Latveria is a mess and their new army is facing off against a Hungarian invasion. Suddenly, the Fantastic Four shows up and Sue puts up an invisible force field which stops the whole invasion, and Reed warns the commander of the Hungarian army, any future invasion means a virus that's going to cripple your nation. And despite saving them, the Latverian people immediately start throwing rocks at the Fantastic Four. No welcome here. Dealing with the hostility, the team checks out Doom's castle, using a lock of Victor's hair to bypass the security. Inside, they find Doombots moving gear through a portal, which of course the Fantastic Four quickly stop. Benjamin Grimm's not at all happy about playing Guardian for a country that hates them, but Reed expects Hydra, AIM, and others to target Doom's tech. He orders to prep and destroy valuable items while Sue seals the castle. The team's also worried about Reed's strange behavior, realizing that they try to bring him out of his funk. Watching the protesters, Reed has a sudden idea. Well, Latverians lack freedom. He declares that the Fantastic Four will stay and help them achieve it, even raising his shirt on the castle flagpole as a symbol. He then drops the bombshell that they're not going home anytime soon. The Fantastic Four has declared themselves the new and very unwelcome rulers of Latveria. Let's get ready for some chaos. Daredevil, Volume 2, Issue 51. Echo's backstory, pretty, but a complete waste of comic. Elektra, Volume 2, Issue 27. So, back in issue 24, Elektra takes a gig from this shady exiled senator guy named Ben Oamat. His mission? To take out Bridget Hapanmayan, the dictator of an African country named Dajanda. Fast forward to issue 25, Elektra's about to make her own shot at Hapanmayan, but bam, she gets yanked back to Dajanda out of nowhere during a shopping trip in London just to squash some uprising. I mean, delegate, come on, guys. But still bad timing. Elektra being Elektra, she uses Hapanmayan's own son, Ibram, as her personal chauffeur. Free ride straight into the palace and Hapanmayan's private floor. Smooth move, but when she finally gets to Hapanmayan's bedroom, it's an ambush. Hapanmayan's security advisor, Jarek, tries to take her out, but Elektra's too quick and ends him. Now she's on the outside, scaling the wall like a ninja. She takes out the rooftop guards and yoinks the helicopter to make her escape. Mid-air, Elektra's like, nah, I'm not obligated to fix this mess, especially since Oamat lied about the job to save some cash. But she's also not about to help the Padilla of Janda. So what does she do? She turns back to the palace. Cut to a bunch of panels filled with smoke, fire, and pure chaos. And guess what? Hapanmayan is no more. Mission accomplished. Sort of. Elektra then jets back to London to have a little chat with Oamat. She lays it all out. She knows he was shady. And how did she escape Janda the second time? She made a deal with the underground resistance, the DGA, and all she had to do was eliminate the biggest threat to their coalitional government plan, Hapanmayan. Boom, problem solved. At least for the DGA anyway. Elektra gets the job done, but her way. Exiles, Volume 1, Issue 33. So, the Exiles are trying to bail from the vampire planet, right? But bam, as usual, Vampire Wolverine, aka Vampire Jack, blasts them with some freaky Vreen beam, and suddenly the team is scattered all over the place. This issue drops us right into the frozen north of Canada, with Sasquatch and Morph facing off against the seriously messed up post-torture Weapon X Wolverine. This isn't your friendly neighborhood Logan. This guy brought his own Dixie cup. Now, Heather and Morph are holding their own, but things go to poop fast. Wolverine slices Morph in half. Brutal. Sasquatch goes all mama bear defending Morph until Logan takes her out as well by knocking out her Achilles tendon. Jeez. In a desperate move, she hurls Wolverine as far as she can to buy them some precious time. Miraculously, Morph manages to pull himself back together. I mean, being a shapeshifter and all, and then they limp away. But Heather's leg is trashed, and they're moving in a snail's pace. So, to stop the bleeding, Heather asks Morph to make sutures out of his own body, and then ends up stitching herself together with roots. Talk about a makeshift first aid kit. Well, knowing they're sitting ducks, Sasquatch knocks out Morph, hides his unconscious body, and waits for Wolverine to show up. And then we get this crazy flashback. Turns out that this isn't the first time Heather from Earth 3470 has tangled with Logan. She became Sasquatch, joined Alpha Flight, rescued Logan from some Project Lazarus nightmare, fell head over heels for him, married him, and then killed him. What? And when Wolverine finally shows up, Heather shockingly turns back into her human form, and they have this super brief, almost tender moment. But before you can say alternate reality romance, bam! Heather gets yanked away to yet another dimension. Man, the Exile's life is seriously messed up. The Mighty Thor, Volume 2, Issue 68. Fast forward 17 years, and Thor is the king of Earth. Jane Foster and Dia, the daughter of Jane's old friend Scarlet Witch, are trespassing in the Lord Thor's woods. Cue Hogan and the Asgardian patrol, who are ready to rumble. Jane's quick with a cover story on hunting accident sidelining Wanda, and the Asgardians buy it enough to escort them in the first place. And here's the sneaky play. Now, while Dia keeps the Asgardians busy, probably with some inherited magical flair, Jane's secretly delivering Wanda's baby. Bam! New character unlocked. And whoosh! Here comes Quicksilver, snatching the newborn and disappearing in a blur. Jane plays it cool, letting the Asgardians escort her and Wanda to the hospital, all while keeping this huge secret under wraps. Plot twist! The Asgardian doc figures out Wanda just gave birth. Hogan, sharp as a tack, realizes they've been played, and this was a deliberate move to keep the baby off the books. So, cuffs go on, and off to New Asgard we go. There, Jane comes face to face with King Thor himself, along with his wife, the Enchantress, and their adorable new son, Magni. Talk about an awkward family reunion 2.0. Thor offers a deal. Spill the beans on the baby's location, and maybe there's some mercy. But Jane's not budging. Big mistake. Thor, not one for disobedient, hands Jane, Wanda, and Dia over to the Master of Chaos, Loki, for some processing? And you know that can't be good. So, we've got a future ruled by Thor, a secret baby on the run, and our heroes are about to face whatever twisted games Loki has in store. What happens next is anyone's guess, but you know it's going to be wild. All right, my Omni fans, that's all the time we've got for today, and thanks for stopping by my digital comic shop. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the November 2003 comics, and you want to keep your comic history in perfect order, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. We've got new chronological reads dropping every week, exploring all the pivotal moments, shocking reveals, and iconic stories of the Marvel Universe, from the Avengers to the X-Men and beyond, ensuring you never miss a chapter. Thanks for turning the pages with me. I'll be seeing you in the Omnibus.